Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy the story. Remember to like and subscribe. And now the story. Ryan hated his job. He worked as a software developer at a company that had a toxic culture of blame shifting. Whenever something went wrong, his co-workers would point fingers at each other, or worse, at him. Ryan was often the scapegoat for their mistakes, even though he was one of the most competent and diligent workers in the team. Ryan had tried to speak up for himself, but his manager, Mr. Jones, didn't care. He only cared about results, not fairness or honesty. He would always side with the majority, and ignore Ryan's explanations or evidence. Ryan felt frustrated and powerless. He wanted to quit, but he couldn't afford to lose his income. One day, Ryan had an idea. He decided it was time for some malicious compliance. This means that he would follow the rules and instructions to the letter, but in a way that would expose the flaws and faults of his co-workers, and make them look bad. He hoped that by doing this, he would show Mr. Jones the truth about his team, and make him realize that Ryan was not the problem. Ryan began to document every mistake made by his co-workers, and forward it to Mr. Jones. He would attach screenshots, logs, and reports to prove his claims. He would also CC the entire team, so that everyone would know who was responsible for the errors. For example, when Alice, a senior developer, wrote a piece of code that caused the system to crash, Ryan sent an email to Mr. Jones, explaining what happened, and showing the faulty code. He also CC'd Alice and the rest of the team, and added a sarcastic remark, "Great job, Alice. You really know how to code." When Bob, another developer, missed a deadline, Ryan sent another email to Mr. Jones, informing him of the delay, and showing the incomplete work. He also CC'd Bob and the team, and added a snide comment, "Way to go, Bob. You're really on top of things." When Carol, a tester, failed to detect a bug, Ryan sent yet another email to Mr. Jones, reporting the bug, and showing the test results. He also CC'd Carol and the team, and added a mocking remark, "Nice catch, Carol. You're really good at testing." Ryan's actions did not go unnoticed. Soon, the team was in turmoil. His co-workers were furious and embarrassed by his emails. They felt exposed and humiliated by his accusations. They tried to defend themselves, but they couldn't deny the facts. They also tried to retaliate, but they couldn't find any fault with Ryan's work. He was always careful and meticulous, and never made any mistakes. Mr. Jones was also annoyed and confused by Ryan's emails. He didn't understand why Ryan was suddenly acting so hostile and aggressive. He thought that Ryan was trying to sabotage the team, and undermine his authority. He decided to confront Ryan, and demand an explanation. Mr. Jones stormed into Ryan's cubicle, and slammed his fist on the desk. "What the hell are you doing, Ryan?" he shouted. "Why are you sending me these emails? Do you have a problem with your coworkers? Do you have a problem with me?" Ryan looked up at Mr. Jones, and smiled calmly. "No, sir, I don't have a problem with anyone," he said. "I'm just following your instructions." Mr. Jones was taken aback. "What instructions?" he asked. Ryan pointed to a poster on the wall, which read, "Accountability is key. Report any issues or errors to your manager as soon as possible." "That's your instruction, sir," Ryan said. "You told us to be accountable, and to report any issues or errors to you. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just being a good employee, sir." Mr. Jones was speechless. He realized that Ryan had outsmarted him, and that he had no grounds to reprimand him. He also realized that Ryan had exposed the incompetence and dishonesty of his team, and that he had to take action to fix the situation. He apologized to Ryan, and admitted that he had been unfair to him. He told him to stop sending the emails, and to work with him to improve the team's performance. He also told him to contact the customers and partners, and explain the situation, and offer compensation. He then called a meeting with the team and demanded an explanation. The team felt relieved and ashamed. They had been caught red-handed, and they knew they had to face the consequences. They apologized to Ryan and admitted that they had made mistakes. They also promised to work harder and to cooperate with him and Mr. Jones. As for Ryan, he felt vindicated and satisfied. He had achieved his goal of showing Mr. Jones the truth about his team and making him change his attitude. He had also taught his co-workers a lesson about respecting his work and skills, and not blaming him for their errors. He hoped that they would learn from their mistakes, and that they would work together as a team. In the busy headquarters of Techno Corp, a wave of unrest was spreading among the workers. It started when their boss, Mr. Wilson, announced that he was going to introduce a new software system that would make them more productive. But the IT staff did not agree with his choice. They strongly opposed the new system, and tried to stop him from implementing it. "They haven't even properly tested it," grumbled Jake, the head of IT, as he adjusted his glasses. "It's riddled with bugs and vulnerabilities. Implementing it now would be a disaster waiting to happen." Mr. Wilson was determined. He believed the new software would streamline their processes and boost productivity tenfold. Ignoring the warnings, he mandated its immediate implementation across all departments. Reluctantly, the IT department complied, but they harbored a secret plan. They would show Mr. Wilson the folly of his decision through the art of malicious compliance. As the days passed, the employees found themselves struggling with the new software's quirks and glitches. Tasks that once took minutes now stretched into hours as the system froze, crashed, or simply refused to cooperate. In the finance department, Sarah found herself pulling her hair out as she attempted to reconcile the company's accounts. Every time she entered a figure, the software would inexplicably change it to something entirely different. "It's like playing a game of financial roulette," she grumbled to her colleague, who nodded sympathetically. Meanwhile, in the marketing department, Dave discovered a loophole in the system's messaging feature. Instead of sending out important memos and updates, he began inundating his coworkers with cat memes and nonsensical messages. "Why waste time with work when we can have a laugh instead?" he reasoned with a mischievous grin. Across the office, chaos reigned supreme. Files went missing, emails vanished into the digital ether, and deadlines were missed with alarming frequency. Yet, Mr. Wilson remained oblivious to the havoc wreaked by his precious software. "That's just teething problems," he assured anyone who dared to complain. "Once we all get used to it, we'll wonder how we ever managed without it." But the IT department was far from done. They had saved their piece de resistance for last. With a few clever tweaks to the system's algorithms, they unleashed a digital monster upon Techno Corp. The software began randomly assigning tasks to employees, regardless of their job descriptions or qualifications. Accountants found themselves tasked with graphic design projects, while programmers were asked to draft marketing plans. It was a surreal world where chaos reigned supreme. Frustrated and exasperated, the employees finally decided to confront Mr. Wilson. Gathering in the boardroom, they presented him with a mountain of evidence detailing the havoc wreaked by the new software. "This can't go on," Sarah declared, her voice trembling with anger. "We're drowning in inefficiency, and it's all because of this software." Mr. Wilson listened with growing horror as his employees recounted their tales of woe. It was clear that his grand vision of efficiency had backfired spectacularly. With a heavy sigh, he conceded defeat. "You were right," he admitted, addressing the IT department. "I should have listened to your concerns from the start." Together, they worked tirelessly to undo the damage caused by the software, reverting to their old systems and processes while they searched for a more suitable replacement. In the end, Techno Corp emerged from the ordeal stronger and wiser than before. And though they would never forget the chaos unleashed by the malicious compliance of their employees, they also learned an invaluable lesson about the importance of listening to those with expertise and experience. As for Mr. Wilson, the CEO tore him a new one and berated him for not understanding the consequences of his actions. He was told that that was going to be the last major error he made because the next screw-up and he would be unemployed.
Lily felt a surge of excitement as she gazed at the scenic beauty of Willow Creek, where rolling hills and winding rivers created a serene backdrop. She had always dreamed of a magical wedding, and with Daniel's loyal support, she felt that her fantasy was within reach. Daniel, a model of gentleness and charm, lavished her with a love so strong it set her soul on fire. Months were spent meticulously planning every facet of their grand day, sparing no expense to ensure it would be etched into the memories of all who bore witness. Yet, as the date drew near, the radiant glow of anticipation dimmed, eclipsed by a looming shadow of dismay. The once reliable vendors, who had initially exuded professionalism and promise, now veered into murky waters of unreliability and deception. The florist took it upon himself to alter Lily's carefully curated vision, substituting flowers without her consent. The caterer, deaf to Lily's dietary needs, turned a blind eye to her pleas for vegan and gluten-free options. Meanwhile, the photographer danced around commitments, postponing their pre-wedding shoot with casual disregard. As frustration and indignation welled within Lily, she couldn't help but wonder if this orchestrated chaos was a deliberate ploy to mar her perfect day. Determined not to be sidelined by adversity, Lily resolved to take matters into her own hands. Armed with contracts signed in ink, she scrutinized each line, seeking refuge in the fine print for a glimmer of hope. And there it was, a loophole, a clause granting her the power to enact changes up to 24 hours before the event, albeit at an additional cost. A wicked grin played upon Lily's lips as she plotted her retaliatory strategy. She would wield the very contracts her vendors had trampled upon as instruments of retribution. With a flicker of defiance igniting her spirit, Lily embarked on a series of calculated maneuvers. The florist, taken aback by her audacious demands, scrambled to procure exotic blooms in clashing hues. The caterer, faced with a culinary odyssey of obscure delicacies, wrestled with ingredients both rare and forbidden. And the hapless photographer found himself navigating treacherous terrain in pursuit of the perfect shot, his efforts thwarted by Lily's whimsical whims. In the wake of her vendetta, a fleeting sense of satisfaction momentarily eclipsed Lily's misgivings. Yet, as the day of reckoning dawned, reality cast a harsh light upon her folly. The venue stood bereft of floral opulence, a barren testament to her vengeance. The banquet table groaned under the weight of unpalatable concoctions, leaving guests to rue their hunger. And the snapshots meant to immortalize love's embrace were but fleeting shadows, devoid of warmth or resonance. In the deafening silence that followed, Lily's gaze swept the desolate landscape, seeking solace in the arms of her beloved Daniel. But he, too, had been swept away by the tempest of her wrath, leaving behind naught but a farewell missive. His words, laden with love and sorrow, pierced Lily's heart like shards of shattered glass. Regret washed over her in relentless waves, a tide of despair threatening to engulf her. She had sacrificed love upon the altar of vengeance, trading the tender embrace of her Prince Charming for the bitter fruits of her retribution. In that somber moment of reckoning, as tears mingled with the remnants of shattered dreams, Lily yearned for naught but the chance to turn back time. Alas, the sands of fate cared not for her remorse, and she stood alone amidst the wreckage of her own making. Lessons learned, but at what cost? The hollow echo of her lamentations served as a stark reminder of the irrevocable toll exacted by her choices. In the twilight of her despair, Lily found herself adrift in a sea of regret, haunted by the specter of what might have been.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.